Hello, everyone. Bringing to you a special episode of Giggles and Growth, the lighthearted adventures of self-awareness and of feeling mentally empowered through the tough stuff. Now, I say a special episode. It's special because it's just me. I love my guests, which is great. Today, I decided to really delve into part of why, and I do this, but part of why I used giggles and growth and the laughter, and I ask the guests to really delve into that with me. And if you've been following along, thank you very much, and I appreciate that you've been subscribing. And if you haven't, then subscribe to the channel and do share with your friends, because the idea and the intention around all of this is the more we can continue to discover ourselves through another, whether that be a practice that they do, an experience that they've had, these challenges, these squeezes, we really start to see ourselves in a new light and have more self-compassion and self-acceptance, self-respect, self-love, all of these beautiful aspects that make up the true quality of our lives. And I use quality because that's really what, should you intend to call that in, that is definitely what I do for myself and work with my clients to do. Anyway, let's go into this laughter, if we shall, and the giggles. One of the things I want to, I guess, delve into is what happens to the body from a biological and chemical aspect when we laugh. Why I say that is we are all and all have a childlike quality that lives inside of us. We still have that inner child living within us. And for those that are, very logical, very serious, very adulted, bear with me if you would, because I'm not saying to be childish. You can be mature and do your life as you choose and be who you choose. The very point is, how do we get back into the childlike nature that lives inside of us? And that's where I want to take this, and this is where I'm going with it. What happens is we all have development cycles in our life, and that very informative part of our lives, that sort of 0 to 6, 7, 8, everybody out there has a little different what it is, the age. And I think it's not always an age. It is a cycle that we go through in a development process. However, during that period, we're sponges. So we're picking everything up. And what happens is, if you were someone that was very mentally structured in your family, and you had a very logical upbringing and a very controlled upbringing, and you controlled that essence because you weren't allowed, right? Maybe you had a really tough childhood, and I honor and I respect that. We may have not been allowed, or we may have simply suppressed it ourselves because we may have seen, whether that's other siblings, friends, neighbors, who were condoned, criticized, potentially held back. If you went to preschool or you had religion, don't laugh when you're in church. I'm just going to use that. Don't laugh when you're in school. This isn't funny, right? So you may have been someone that really suppressed that within you. Okay. And this is around, really, I'm going to invite you, just take a breath in this and allow yourself to have permission to go into the pure state of the child, okay? That inner child that we all have within us. You're going to return to this child, return to this child, return to this child. Imagine as best you can you as that child, and that will be the greater and deeper work for you, should this be something that's really difficult for you. And if it is, do reach out. I want to bring you that, because when we go to that true inner child, that true early child that was born and brought into this world. And I have a few notes just so I don't I make some notes and just really want to make sure that I touch on these things. When you go into what a child in its purest innocent form came into this world to experience, it was that very trust in life itself, in its parents, in the world around them, the very playful aspect, the very open heart, the very uncontrollable, and I'm going to use uncontrollable laughter that can exude from them and does. If you look at a child that has that effervescent, gregarious, overflowing ooze of joy that just every cell wiggles and giggles and jiggles. That's what it is. Because what that's doing in that child's body, in your body, is it's changing the very cellular makeup. And the more you as an adult allow that and intend for that, intend to feel that, if that means listening to comedy, if that means, you know what, just exploring something, do that first. However, with an intention that you fully feel the visceral happening within inside of you, the chemistry, the very chemistry that many of us were taught to control and to hide from. Because as we grew older, right, and our actual chemistry and emotional body was starting to percolate more, we potentially, and many of us, held it back. I was the same, right? What we want to do, though, is the continuing to come back to that early part and knowing, right? Understanding the deep wisdom of that child, that beautiful, beautiful child that wants nothing more than to be allowed to giggle and move through it and laugh hysterically. That is so magical to the body, to the bones, to the cells, to the very being, to the structure of the human that is growing and becoming more of who they are. As we go back into these childhoods of ours, and again, for those that might have one that wasn't easy, right? And again, we all have different experiences. However, you at your capacity now have a choice. And the choice is, do I want to experience being a child, being that, and really honoring what that might entail for just a while? Honor and allow yourself to, I'm going to use be out of control. And yeah, don't control it. Do not suppress it. Even if it feels like I can't do this and I've never given myself permission. This is what it means. Give yourself the permission. Allow yourself to be sparked, to have things light up all inside of you. And as best as you can, if you are willing, go as deep as you can and hold that and just be like, oh my God, what's going on in my body? Feel it. Feel what's bouncing. Feel what's sparking. And if you watch a child, that might be something to start. Just watch children. And for those that say, I don't like children, it's going to invite you into a breath. It comes typically from not having a good remembrance of your childhood. Hold yourself right there and just breathe. Touching you, holding your heart, your upper heart, the high heart, if you'd like to call it that, your very soul, because it is in you. It's in you. And I promise you, the more you allow yourself and honor that it is such a beautiful, pure part of you. And I know there are people who, guests I've had, friends I know, that are so here and wanting to figure it out and understand it and reason it. This, what I'm inviting you to, doesn't have reason to it. It is a full, visceral experience of all of that chemistry that's going on in the body. The more you go back into those states and allow that chemical factory in you, you will open and allow, should you allow it, your own emotional body to open up and want to discover more of it. We are this spectrum of emotions, right? So even when I labeled, and I'm going to use labeled because we get caught in labels, right? These become limiting beliefs. But I want to go back to when I titled it, if you will, lighthearted adventures, right? It is. It's the lightheartedness that we need. Our hearts need to light up. And to do that, it comes with that childlike essence and quality that resides deep in us, that comes from the giggling, that comes from the laughter, that comes from the unadulted versions of it, until our adult is able to say, oh my God, this is me. That is a part of me. Integrate that into you. Hold that child laughing so viscerally that you feel it, so that when you come into other emotions, you're able to hold them. I want to go back to, I started there, which was the feeling, the other part of the title, the feeling mentally empowered through the tough stuff. Okay. Tough stuff. We all have challenges. We all have squeezes, as I call them. We call that tough stuff, right? Again, synthesizing it down to a few words, tough stuff, things that I don't like this. And yet the only way to know the other side is to experience that tough stuff and to really honor that there's a polarity going on in you, in all of us. Life is that. We would not know pleasure if we didn't know pain. And yet we can know them. How do I embrace them? Bring this into me. How do I balance these two forces and beautiful power within me, so that it becomes a strength that I use? Again, challenging for many people should they not want to open themselves up, because they continue to use a mental construct of it's going to be difficult. Sure, it'll come with you shifting, it'll come with you changing, it'll come with you being and doing things differently. 100%. The feeling is the emotional body, right? Feeling as emotions. I used to be a feeler as the sensations, very empathic. I could feel everything, the subtleties. Except when I came into the feeling as emotions, that's where it sparks the life. That's where we spark the change. The mental is because our minds are going to play the monkey mind tricks. They're going to play the human pulling us back to old ways until we step into a new version of us, into what more do we want. You might not know that. That's why I help people. Right now I'm running a program, Transform Your Love Knots. Step into some of this new way of being, right? To work with the energy so the energy works. So if that's of interest to you, just reach out. I want to go into the mental space though, because we have minds, right? We have a mind, the big mind, right? The mind, the conscious mind, the one that's alive and wakes us up. And yet we have a brain, right? We have 3 brains. A lot of people want to equate the brain and the mind as the same thing, when in fact you have 3 brains. We have this beautiful, beautiful brain up here, which we need to love, which is how part of this works. We've got this heart brain. We've got this gut, right? All of that. We need to work in sync with our mental faculties and embrace all of us as an emotional being. Energy in motion is our emotions. I'm not going to dive too deep into it right now. That's not what this is about. It was just to help you understand why the laughter is so important. Because in all of that, that is how we can empower ourselves. We see a new version of us. We become that new version of us. Laughter allows us to get there. The very visceral feelings of our emotions allow us to get there. So it's about empowering ourselves. So all of this self-awareness, this self-acceptance, self-respect, self-compassion, self-love, it's all about mastering ourselves. Such a beautiful, beautiful, profound way. So I invite you to step into life as a big beacon of light. Again, which is why I say keep shining, keep giggling, keep growing. We are designed to do that. I didn't. I wouldn't be guiding others, facilitating, mentoring, even teaching some of this, which is all of it too, if I didn't experience it. Life is a beautiful, beautiful symphony. So if you're listening to this and you'd like to be a guest, please come, bring an experience, because I stand here not only as honored to be able to host and have a conversation with you, I dabble in, I layer things that I've experienced. Only we know what's going on inside this invisible world that we live in, this internal space. So that's what we get to experience, because outside of us, everything's happening because of what's going on inside of us. So if you haven't yet delved deep into the inner world, oh, may this be just a little more of a bubbling inside of you to say, yeah, I'm ready to do something a little different and embrace all of you. So sending you my absolute love, joy, gratitude for you being here as well. I so appreciate it, because you help me to not only continue my own purpose and my own impact in the world by celebrating you too, and just honoring how and supporting other people as they journey through what they're journeying through, because it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. So yeah, may you come to embrace more of your emotions, the laughter, and the pain, and really embody the fullness, the wholeness of who you are. So I will leave it there. Again, all the best today and every day. And again, keep giggling, keep growing, and keep shining bright. Below are my coordinates if you'd like to reach out for anything and just even have a conversation about anything that sparks you up or you'd like to hear more about. So take care for now, and we will see you on another episode.